9 on a Friday night. We're about to go out, and I've been binge watching the Food Network while we're pre-gaming.
Yeah.
They're like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Yeah. But I think it started then. It always kind of stuck with me. And then, college time comes around. I applied to maybe 2 schools. I was not interested in school. I hated school. I think from a young age, Koreans, it's school, education. You're doing something on Saturday to educate yourself. For me, that was Korean school.
Yeah.
You're going to tutors after school. You're doing piano lessons. It was nonstop, and I think I was just burnt out by like 5th grade.
Yeah,
I just saw my schoolwork just straight decline.
Yeah,
it
burnt out
very heavily.
Yeah.
So by the time college came around, you're like, I guess the next step is college. I had no desire to go to college or further my education.
Yeah.
But I applied to DePaul, which was also where one of my best friends at the time had applied. Got in, and we went to DePaul for a little bit. We tried that out in the dorms, and that was a complete shit show.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I mean, first night I got in a lot of trouble. First night there, which school hadn't even started.
Oh my
I got written
God.
up. Got a little weird in there. And ever since then, I just kind of started off on the wrong foot in college. I tried, just never went to class. I played basketball every day. Worked out, played basketball. That's about it. And
that's all you did.
That's about all I did. Eventually, I ended up getting kicked out of dorms. Had a kind of bad reputation there. And then ultimately came to grips with understanding that college wasn't for me.
Heard.
So at that point, I regrouped and said, what is next for me? And just by kind of chance, I applied to a few schools, or not even applied, but like put my email in for more info. And one of those schools was the Cooking and Hospitality Institute of Chicago, which was a Le Cordon Bleu program.
Okay.
I didn't realize how commercial it had been at that point.
Yeah.
They had sent me an email immediately after I, input all my... Yeah, they're like, hey, come
auto
on.
reply.
Yeah, wow.
You're accepted.
And for me, I took that as a sign. I said, okay, this is where we're going.
Lord, give me a sign.
Right.
Listen to DMX,
basically. And I went to Le Cordon Bleu in Chicago, in kind of the hood.
Yeah.
The school had a barber shop on the first floor. Smelled like straight perm up in there. Yeah. It was not a really good culinary school, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Not a really good program, but still kind of quenched my thirst for cooking in more of a serious manner.
Yeah.
Starting to take it really seriously, somewhat seriously, I guess.
Yeah.
Meeting a lot of good people, a lot of good friends. There have been chefs that have been at the Hyatt for 30 years. There have been, cooks that I've, still friends with. There's been... You just meet a bunch of interesting people.
Yeah.
People that aren't necessarily from where you're from. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it immensely. Found myself good at it in a lot of ways. And, being somewhat competitive, a lot competitive, you gauge yourself in those moments. Mm-hmm. And being able to be like, hey, I think I'm better than most of these people, if not all of them.
Yeah.
If not all of them, including the teacher.
Yeah.
And, it was just that mindset that helped me kind of explore it further and further and try to get better and see how far I could take it.
Yeah. Does Cordon Bleu have a internship program?
They do. So,
okay.
Cordon Bleu's internship program worked a little different than some of, the real culinary schools.
Yeah.
In that you were done with school, and then you went on your internship, and you never came back. That was it. Later, right? After the
So they're like, well, if they fuck it up, they can't blame them.
So you turn in some whatever, but you're done. So they did do an internship.
Where did you do your internship?
So I ended up doing my internship at Alinea, actually.
Oh, dope. How did you? Okay, so your first foray into cooking, you're in culinary school.
Sure.
How the fuck do you pick Alinea?
I think it's very naive in a lot of ways. I think just as Kat was talking about, you look up what are the best restaurants in Chicago. It's like, Alinea and Blackbird and blah, 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 and, this and that. And, I said, hey, Alinea sounds cool. I had, honestly, no fucking idea what I was getting myself into.
Yeah.
I had no idea about the style of food or the chef. I just thought, this is the best restaurant in the city. I belong there. Mm-hmm. And I reached out to do my externship there. And just as kind of everything in life, things happen right place, right time, and their extern at the time, which they only accept one at a time at the time, was leaving. It was on her way out, and they were looking for someone to replace her, and that person was me.
Got you. And how long was your internship there?
Dude, I can't even remember. I was blacked out. But I want to say the internship was I want to say 9 to 12 months ish. I want to say, but that might be ridiculous.
Months.
Damn,
is that a lie?
No, I bet it was weeks. But you kept working.
It felt like 12 months.
Yeah,
I think you know what? That's a lie. I think it was 3 months. I think that sounds about right.
And then after that, you got hired on.
Yeah. So I came up there. Externship started. It just learned a crazy amount, just right from the jump. And then started quickly realizing what level they were working at the time. By the time my externship was up, I had really kind of enjoyed my experiences there, the amount I was learning, the camaraderie, and really, once again, understanding the vision and what was happening, and feeling like you were at somewhere that was really relevant and doing something that was really relevant.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, fuck yeah, I want to stay here, and I want to continue and see where this takes me, for sure.
Who else was working there at the time that maybe now is doing? It
was a really kind of talented kitchen. I think at the time, obviously Grant was and always has been the chef there. Curtis Duffy was the chef de cuisine at the time. My sous chefs were John Shields, Jeff Pikus, Dave Barron. And then cooks at that time, Greg Backstrom, David Posey.
God damn.
Powerhouse. And a few more. I mean, it was a very crazy stacked kitchen at the time.
Yeah.
Which I had no idea.
And you don't even realize.
You have no idea, right?
Yeah. How long was your time there?
My time there was probably just shy of 2 years, right around that point. I had just burnt out,
It's a lot to work at that restaurant.
Yeah, it's a lot. I think, especially for someone that has no cooking experience, you feel like you're almost fighting drowning every day. So you're just exhausted. You don't know how tired you are because you're just doing it and not realizing how much extra energy you're exerting just to be, like I said, the people that were working there, just to be in that kitchen and earning your keep. You're working pretty hard. And
just to fill the pepper mill?
Just to fill that damn pepper mill, exactly. Yeah. But it's just you get to a point, and it was the first point in my career where I questioned if I wanted to cook or not. And I think it was a big crossroad for me. It was a big question to ask myself. And when my time ended at Alinea, I actually ended up walking out and having a lot of demons with that. Yeah. But it was that time where you're like, do you actually want to cook? Are you willing to really sacrifice everything?
Yeah.
And is cooking that important to you? And I don't think I was prepared to answer that question going in working at Alinea. But coming out, I knew that I had to answer that question, or else you would never be able to do the job that was required.
Gotcha. So you get out of there, and what's your next move?
So my next move is I actually help a friend of my father's. He had a very successful kind of Japanese kind of Benihana style restaurant where I grew up. So it was in the suburbs, somewhat kind of where I grew up in Lincolnshire, actually. So I moved back home with my best friends. So it was 4 of us. We rented this house that at the time we had not known was actually under foreclosure. I don't think anyone owned it.
Yeah.
It was a shithole. We ended up getting kicked out of the house we were living in before because our dogs, we had 4 pit bulls at the time, had just destroyed this house. And our landlord showed up, upset, rightfully so. We had to essentially, we went through a lot. We had to fix the place up, replace all the carpet, go through all this shit to even just get out of that lease.
Damn.
We did that, and honestly, we were so stupid at the time. And the day we had to move out, we didn't know where we were going to go. My friends are still, have family back home, but my parents had been in LA for a couple years at this time. So so we're just driving around Highland Park looking for places to rent.
Yeah.
And we find this place. We call him. We're like, can we move in tonight? And he's like, yeah, sure, because he doesn't own the fucking house. And that's we put a down payment on, and we just slept in this really dilapidated, dirty ass house.
Yeah.
spent the night there, and then got our shit in and moved in. We cleaned it up. We lived there for a little bit, and I was working at this. It was a really weird restaurant. It was a Japanese sushi, and then the kitchen was run by a sous chef from Le Francais, which was like the French restaurant of the 90s
Gotcha.
where I'm from. So it was French and Japanese sushi. It was kind of strange.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie.
Uh-huh.
I spent like a year there. I was still not fully recovered from my time in Alinea, and I was also not fully answering that question of if I wanted to cook. So I wasn't like fully committed yet. I needed a job. I needed to pay rent. This kind of checked those boxes for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how long did all that last?
So that was about another year.
Yeah.
I'm getting to the point where I think I want to say I was about 21 at this point.
Yeah.
Getting to the point where, living back home is too many problems, more problems than I guess growth.
Mm-hmm.
And I just realized that I think I need to get the fuck out of here, before I get stuck. And that's what I chose to do. I chose to move out to LA. Move out back basically with my parents and my brother at the time to kind of regroup and settle in and kind of figure out what the next steps were here.
Yeah.
I was just tired of it. Yeah.
Got you. How was that received by your parents?
Oh, they loved it.
Yeah.
I think, Korean parents want their kids to live with them forever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they did.
Gotcha.
I liked it, yeah.
So you get back to LA. Do you get right back to work?
No.
Okay.
I spent just under a year kind of getting my shit together, getting reacclimated. Once again, gravitating towards playing basketball every day.
Yeah.
Which is a constant in my life.
Yeah.
But after a certain point, I think I answered that question of, are you really committed to being a chef or cooking, and is this something where you're really willing to sacrifice and do what's necessary to be great? And I think I was ready to answer that, and I ended up applying to Me.She at the time.
Got you.
Which is where I met Kat.
Got you. So Me.She, how did that come up?
Me.She came up in the same way I made decisions at the time. You look at what are the best restaurants in LA.
What are the best restaurants
in LA? Me.She, right? Like Water Grill at the time. And I chose Me.She.
Yeah.
I chose Me.She. It was close to kind of where I was living at the time. And honestly, I think it was absolutely the right choice.
Yeah.
I had staged there. I had seen Kat glaring at me from the meat station.
Yeah.
It was like another one of those moments. I think.
Who the fuck is this guy?
As a cook, you search for those moments of like these little kind of glimpses of restaurants where things are just like super interesting and super relevant and right time, right place. But like when I was at Me.She, I felt like all the cooks were really, really good. There's a lot to learn from. Everyone had a good personality, good experience, but also worked really well together. That's like a really interesting type of camaraderie there that I really enjoyed, actually.
Well, we had some mutual friends that worked there with you, right? You got Eloy,
right?
Coleman. Who else?
Howard. Howard.
Yeah, he was just in LA.
He was just in LA.
Yeah.
He never saw us. I think that was it.
So a lot of great talent came from that kitchen.
Well, I think that says a lot about the chef. I think that says a lot about Josiah, and I think it says a lot about the culture he created there, and his ability to not only be a great chef, but a great teacher and mentor. And I think he really opened my eyes on what it takes to kind of do those things well.
Got you. So, how long was your time at Me.She?
I want to say just over 2 years.
Just over 2 years.
Just over 2 years.
And at this point, you said you met Kat. Were you guys friends? You guys
we were
hang
friends.
out?
I think we were friends. There was definitely a lot of professional respect, but also same thing. At that time in Me.She, everyone was really cool, and we were all very tight knit. And we'd shoot the shit. We'd work hard. We'd bang out 100 covers in maybe 100 degree heat, sweating your ass off, wringing out your towel, plating your own shit on the piano. It was a real kitchen. I mean, the level of execution was high, but there was no fanciness about being a cook there.
Yeah.
You were in the trenches.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved that part of it. Yeah.
Awesome. And then we'll just do both of you now.
All right.
Kat, how long was your time at Me.She?
I think
close to 2 years. My second time. Yeah.
Got you. And when you saw John, what